And welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you just happen to stumble across my page. Hi, I'm Mand. So today we are going to talk about the big stack of books that I have here for me. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've read like this many books. Two of them are along the lines of like spirituality, manifestation, law of attraction, that kind of stuff, and then the rest are just novels and non-fiction and things like that. So if that's your jam, hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you part of the family. Here I cover all things tarot and oracle card related. I do like deck walkthroughs, I cover spirituality here. I recently done a video on journals, so if you want to go check that out, please do. And yeah, hit the like. Tell me below, what's your favorite book so far that you've read? I know it's hard to tell because it's like the start of the year, so do let me know in the comments below. And if you want to hit the bell so you'll be notified when I upload. That's it. That's all I gotta say. So let's get into the two spiritual books first. The two kind of spiritual books I've read so far this year. One is Protect Your Life by George Lizos, and the other one is Hurt, Healing, Healed by Emma Mumford. We'll talk about that one in a minute. I picked this up at the start of the year. I actually got these two together. And this is basically a practical guide to energy protection, cleansing, and cutting cords. And I don't know who had recommended it, and I was like, oh, that sounds like right up my alley. I'm not 100% sure of it. It's not a bad book. It's not badly written by no means. I didn't highlight or anything like that. I mean, this I tabbed and highlighted and I wrote in it and the whole lot. He really goes into a lot of detail of like obviously energy protection and how it's like really, really important. And sometimes it is a skip that people miss in their own spiritual journey and things like that. You know what, like I would really say if you were like starting out and you want different techniques to pick up, this is probably the book for you. I'm trying to see here, there was one point he made and I was like, oh my god, yeah, I absolutely love that. But he uses like he gives different techniques that you can use for cleansing. So yeah, because he goes on about like energy attack and energy attachments. Like some of the stuff is within my belief system and others just aren't, but it's a really quick, easy read. If energy protection and you want, you know, cleansing and cutting cords, if you want just different techniques, maybe pick it up. And it also actually, yeah, sorry, just read it here in the back and I forgot about it. It also addresses energy attack on social media. It wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't really, I wasn't just vibing with it. So I don't know. I'll probably just keep it because, to be honest, the color is super cute and it matches. Because all my spiritual books are like color blocked. I'll show that in another video. But this book, this book, Hurt, Healing, Healed by Emma Mumford. Like, can we see the tabs? Like, it is tabbed, it is highlighted. She is so good. Like, really, honestly, this is so good. I like wasn't even 3 pages in and I tabbed and I wrote and I went, this is exactly my thoughts about love. Unconditional love must always start with you. And I'm trying to see where she said that. Of course, I read this a while back, so I love that. Like, the book's theme is really about returning to a state of unconditional love through healing. And this book is really, really super healing. Now, I didn't do complete transparency here. I didn't do any of the because she has at the end of each chapter a practice. So she's journaling, prompts, activity, and action. I didn't do those because some of the things I've been doing for a very, very long time, and others I wanted to do at a different time. I just wanted to read this and really kind of dive into the information, come back, and then that's why it's tabbed and it's highlighted. I don't have a system. I'm still learning how to, or still not even learning, I know how to annotate, but still figuring out my system of annotation and things like that. But I love the way she covers like the different cycles we go through as just beings. You know, we each have like a spring, summer, autumn, and winter season within us. And like I love that here it says the natural cycles of death and rebirth, and I highlighted, you will shed layers and versions of yourself as well as meeting and embodying these versions, new versions. Like, this is so well written. If you really, really want to dive really deep into the law of attraction and manifesting, you know, my belief is the same as Emma Mumford here is, like, and I'll do a separate video I think on this, because this is kind of a different topic because I want to get into the other books, but it's really down about like that whole inner healing. So if you really want to manifest and draw things into your life, you have to do a lot of inner work first. But yeah, highly recommend. I mean, I would 100% no problem give this 5 stars, you know, if I was doing a star rating, but I'm not. But I love this book. It really does. Like, here at the back, sorry, I'm reading the back here and I'm like, anyway, it goes, working through sources of pain in your past, exploring and raising your inner vibration and energy, reconnecting to your true self with unconditional love. It's like having your best friend hype you up. This is what this book is. It's like, I'm going to hold your hand through all the hard bits, hype you up the whole way, so by the time you're finished, you're so in love with yourself and you believe in yourself completely. So yeah, this book. So I just want to touch upon those. I mean, I'm already looking at time. It's nearly 6 minutes. So just want to touch upon those spiritual books. I'm going to put timestamps. So if you want to just hear about the fiction books, you can skip ahead. Or if you want to hear about the whole lot, you can watch it. Whatever you want. So we're going to get into. So I'm looking at the pile here, and I can't remember what one I read first. I should really keep note of this. I'm actually planning on making a reading journal because I need to get more organized with my reading. I do have an Instagram for books and non-fiction books. If you guys are interested, it's Man's Reading Corner. I'll try and remember to tag it below if you guys want to give it a follow. I'm slowly but surely trying to post more there, but I mean, I swear I just take on way too much. So the first book I want to talk about is Jojo Moyes. It's The Ship of Brides. Now, I got this book actually secondhand, so I didn't batter this, but it made reading it easier. This is a slow burn. Okay, this is basically set back in 1946, and it's about women in Australia who married British soldiers, and they were being basically sent from Australia to be with their husbands in the UK. Why did that take me a second? Anyway, oh my gosh, I love the way Jojo writes. I love her books. I adore her books. I have a few more of hers that I want to get. I love Me Before You, but this, I remember reading this and I was like about a chapter or two in, and I said to Jamie, who's my partner by the way, if you don't know, I was saying to him, I was like, I don't know if this book is really kind of my thing. Like, right, I had just finished like a court of Thorns and Roses. I always find that so difficult to say. I don't know, is it my Irish accent or what is it? But, and did I pick this up after I'd finished? Was it A Court of Silver Flames? Okay, we can all have a laugh at the fact that I can't seem to say yeah, right. Anyway, and I picked this book up, and well, on my bookshelf, because I have like a shit ton. Rude. 1 second, let me fix. Okay, I fixed it. That would have annoyed me otherwise. So I had picked this up after, and it is a bit of a slow burn because it starts like in present day and then it goes back into the past, and you're going back to like 1940s Australia, and these women are getting on the Victoria, which was a warship that was converted into a, like, what do you call them? It's not a cruiser. Basically a ship that can house people. I can't think of the word, but anyway, that it was no longer a warship. And it's just, you follow, is it, because I read this at the start of your course, trust me to forget some of it, but basically you're following a couple of different brides. Like there's, what was it, 650 brides, but you're only following a few of them. And oh my god, the way she's able to tell the story and like immerse you in it. Like I love books that I feel like I'm already in that world. It's why I read. It's just getting lost in that world. And like, this is heartbreaking. I cried, I laughed, I just felt all the emotions while reading this book. And if you kind of love that romance, and it has a happy ending. I've yet to read a book of hers that doesn't end on a high note at the very least, and it does end on a high note, but it's heartbreaking because it's a different time. It's, you know, things were different then as well. So yeah, love this. I do love historical fiction anyway. If I remember correctly, she has done a lot of research into it as well, to be fair, but it is fiction. So the next one that I read was Mother Knows Best, and these are the Disney books that do it from the villain point of view, and like, it really kind of comes down to why they became the villain and how they became to be. And this is Gothel's story, so that is Rapunzel. I had to think there for a minute. So I have all the paperbacks. I think, what's the other ones with these ones? You have Poor Unfortunate Souls, The Beast Within, Mistress of Evil, and Fairest of All. And I think like The Odd Sisters is another one, and I think they have like Cruella de Vil, but they also have A Twisted Tale, and I have a few of those. And I think I've only read one, which was Once Upon a Dream, which was Sleeping Beauty's story, which was about Maleficent and stuff, but that kind of follows all the characters, whereas these books mainly focus on just the villain. It's an easy read. It's a really quick read. I mean, look, the writing isn't massive. I wasn't here for this one. I thoroughly enjoyed, and I remember reading them 4 or 5 years ago. The Ursula story and the Beast and Maleficent and Evil Queen. I loved all of those, and even the Odd Sisters. I really liked that. I don't know what it is about this book that just was kind of a no for me. It's not that it was poorly written, because like, you would think in one sense it's for kids, right? I'm a big kid at heart anyway. I don't know. I have really mixed opinions about it. It's not that it's a poorly written book. It's fine. It's really easy. You could easily read that in a day if you really wanted to. I mean, it's one of the heftier ones out of a lot. It just wasn't for me. I didn't really thoroughly enjoy it. I don't know why I didn't just DNF it, but I wanted to read it. Then we have Silka's Journey, and this is by Heather Morris, and I love historical fiction. And I remember I put up a post when I was reading this book about what I was currently reading. Now, it is based on a true story. It is the second book of the Tattoos of Auschwitz, and also I think there's another book called The Three Sisters in this series. Now, I don't know, is it a trilogy? Now, I read the Tattoos of Auschwitz many years ago. I've had this for years. I only read it this year. I have many books on my bookcase. Is anybody like that? And they don't pick it up for years. Like, I had ACOTAR, I'm just going to call it ACOTAR, on my shelf for like 2 years before I read it. A crime, I know. An absolute crime, to be brutally honest. But this story follows Silka, who ends up in, she is in Auschwitz, the concentration camp, and then she, you know, they get liberated, but then she's moved on to another camp, another work camp in Siberia. It's a Siberian prison camp, and oh my god, this book. I wasn't sure. Again, it was a bit like The Ship of Brides. It was a bit of a slow burn. Of course, I should have just reread The Tattooist of Auschwitz because I didn't remember who Silke was, how it fell in with The Tattooist of Auschwitz, XYZ, right? This book broke my heart. Like, oh my god. If you love historical fiction, I love, and reiterating that, I really do love historical fiction, or you know, anything that's really around World War II. I really love reading about that. This is heartbreaking. It really, you know, she did her best to try and incorporate as much fact about Silke, but she said she was very, very difficult. Oh, I still have a bookmark in there. It was very, very difficult to find information and whatnot about that, but it is just, you feel yourself getting lost in that book. You feel yourself getting mad at the injustice, the inhumane ways that they had to live. I mean, like, the conditions that they lived in, even in the Siberian prison camps, was just horrendous. And just the sheer determination of people and what they will do to survive, and just how the reason that she ends up, I don't want to give any spoilers, but like the reason why she ended in the prison camp just seemed so unjustified. I mean, most of the people that ended up in the prison camp was just so unjustified. It just excuse me, I get really passionate about this, but it was just so unfair. And then, yeah, look, I know, like, life is unfair, but this was just really shitty, to be brutally honest. It was just so crap. Like, humans can be so mean to each other, and like, even though, you know, she had already gone through a horrendous time in Auschwitz, she was now moved on. So while, yes, they were liberated from Auschwitz, and I never knew that some people ended up in Siberian prison camps, and probably other camps that I haven't even heard of yet. So when I heard that there was like Siberian prison camps, I was actually shocked, because my understanding was when they liberated Auschwitz-Birkenau that they were free. That's not the case at all. Some of them ended up in the camps, and she didn't end up being free until, oh my god, it was well into the 50s at that stage. So she spent another 10, 11, 12 years in a prison camp. So it's heartbreaking, and it makes you mad, but you know, it's a lovely story all the same. On to a different one. Let's all take a sup of our hot beverage and just come down for a minute, because that book has got me all bothered. Like, it's just so annoying, you know? I just don't like the injustice of it. Anyway, I have 2 more books that I want to talk about. That just, I have to say, I definitely want to do, like, at the end of the year, like a book wrap up, or like what was my favorite, and I definitely need to write these down. So, reminder to you, Amanda, if you watch this again, write your books down. We all know, I'm going to mention this because I think I mentioned it not that long ago. Sarah J. Maas, Crescent City, House of Art and Blood. I'm actually fancy because I have the hardback. I don't normally get hardbacks because they're brutally expensive. But I pre-ordered this, which is silly because I have never read one of her books. But a booktuber that I followed, I can't remember, was on about this book, and they were like, oh, you should definitely get it. I don't think they had read it. They were saying it was just coming out. I pre-ordered it. I believe this was during like lockdown and things like that. So spontaneous buying at its best. The inside cover of this is just, I can't. I love it. It is my prized possession. I love it. One of my prized possessions. I love this book. It's a hefty book. It is just under the 800 pages. The book is. This book follows Bryce, who is half human, half fae. It is really, it's an interesting mix of like set in the future, but also kind of like a dystopian fantasy modern world, right? It's like a mixture of old and new magic, right? And you just have such a mix of different characters. The world building in this is absolutely savage, okay? It is a slow burn, so you're warned. I remember somebody had said that it takes about 60 odd pages to get in, and I was like reading it going, okay, we're nearly at the 60. They weren't lying, okay? I wouldn't mind, right? Let's all have a good laugh at my expense, okay? It says it here. It says it. Let me read it for you. Bryce Quinlan used to light up Crescent City, partying all night in the clubs where the strict classes of angel, shifter, human, and fae merge into a sea of beautiful bodies. And then a demon murdered her closest friends. 2 years later, when the supposed killer is behind bars but the crime started up again, the city's leaders command Bryce to help investigate. They assign an enslaved fallen angel, Untitled, to make sure she does. But as Bryce fights to uncover the truth and resist her attraction to the brooding angel who shadows her every step, she finds herself following a trail that leads deep into her own dark past. Right? It's there at the front. It says it. I read it and I was absolutely, gutted when her best friend died. It's in the synopsis. I, for some reason, didn't even read it, obviously, and was gutted. It's not like she didn't tell us. It's not like I didn't know. It wasn't like it was sprung upon me. I felt personally attacked, to be brutally honest. I read this and went, what? How could she do that? Why? We love. I don't know who read it, and I don't want to ruin it. But I suppose, I can't say her name. Her name is Danica. You know, she dies. And if you don't know, now you do know, because it's there. It's here. I didn't seem to read that part. I don't know what happened. I probably just took the dust cover off and read the book. I was gutted, but I moved on. And I read it and I devoured it and I loved the story. I'm reading the second one now, and I have to say, I've heard mixed reviews on the second one. I'm loving it. I'm sorry, you guys. I have something on my lip. I'm loving the second one. That is, I'll have to check here. It's not actually in it, but I'm pretty sure her books are going up by the different houses. House of Sky and Breath. I love it. I love it. I love the relationship between Bryce and Hunt Atler. And there's not too much spice in it if that's not your thing. In fairness, there's not a whole pile. Like ACOTAR definitely has more. I haven't read Throne of Glass yet. I am slowly but surely collecting the books so that I have the whole collection and I can read them in one sitting. Well, probably not one sitting, but it's just. But she's announced, I think, if I'm correct, the next one is out next year. So in fairness, Jamie was like, you can just take your time reading it out. You have like till next year. I'm like, you don't understand. I need to know what happens before I see a spoiler. This book, I really want to get into like annotating and like writing in my books. I can't when it comes to fiction for some reason. When it comes to my fiction books, I can't. I don't know why. I love it. I love the world building. I love the characters. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings, and if you don't like it, that's totally fine. I can understand. Not really, but I'll try and understand. We're allowed to have different opinions here, okay? In this space, we're all allowed to have different opinions. We don't have to agree on everything, and that's okay. I'm totally fine with that. I love this. I definitely love her writing style. I said it to Mum. I was like, I think, she could write anything. I would probably read it, even if it wasn't good. I probably would still reading. I appreciate the fact that it really was ACOTAR that got me back into my reading. It wasn't the reason why I started reading, because I've always been into books, but it really got me out of my slump. And I think a lot of people had the same thing. So for that, I will forever be truly grateful. But this book, it was definitely a 5-star for me. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I love the world. Some of it is complicated. Some of it I still don't understand, but I love it. If you love fantasy and like fast paced, there is a lot of fast pace in this. You want to catch on quick. I definitely should have taken notes because, to be honest, I was lost at some parts. I'm not going to lie, because sometimes things I just read late at night and then I don't remember, and then it's kind of like, what happened again? Anyway, so the last book I want to talk about that literally messed with my brain for so long after. I mean, it's why I started a Bookstagram, so that I could actually talk. And I never did. When I think about it, I never went on Instagram talking about it. But anyway. Right. I've seen this author all over Bookstagram, all over Book Talk. Some YouTubers have talked about it as well. And I was like, no, I really don't want to follow trends and stuff like that. And that's why I was like slow in starting ACOTAR. Now I have no regrets. Now, I have nothing against this author. Absolutely not. Because I loved this book. This book annoyed me, but in like the best way possible. Verity by Colleen Hoover. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about the whatever. We're not talking about the author here. We're talking about the book. Did I go and pick up 2 more books of hers? Yes, I did. I haven't read any of her romance books or anything like that. I'm not looking for those kind of romance yet. Probably in the summer. Psychological thriller. I'm not being dramatic when I say I couldn't pick up a book for like 2 days after finishing this. Why? Because the ending, and I won't say nothing here, but I'm really annoyed though, right? The ending of this book, that messed with my head so bad. So bad. I even had to sit Jamie down and talk to him about it, because I was like, no, that can't be. That can't. What? Read it, message me, and we can have a discussion about it, because Colleen, what are you doing? Why would you mess with my 5 stars? 5 stars for absolutely wrecking my head. I loved it. I loved every minute of this. There was one part of this book that I totally related to Lowen on this one. Sorry, I never said what the book was about. Basically, it's about Lowen Ashley, who is a struggling writer. She gets offered the job of writing Verity's books, and you just follow on from there. And it's mad. She finds a hidden manuscript. It's actually here in the back, and it's just read it. There's so many twists and turns. I mean, that twist at the end. But I've heard she brought out another one of these. No, she brought out this book with an extra chapter. What do you mean there's an extra chapter? When I read that, I was like, wait, hold on. I got the book that doesn't have the extra chapter. Now I have to go and find the book that does have the extra chapter so I can find out what that chapter is about. I was left with more questions than answers with this book. But 5 stars because I really, really liked it. It really messed with my head. I definitely thought of nothing else but this book. I needed to know more. When I was like, this it's not a big book. You can read it in a day, but you know, life, it gets busy. I couldn't wait to sit down and read it. And if anybody interrupted me when I was reading this, I was very bothered. But there was one part of this book that made me laugh so much. There it is. I literally opened it on the page. I mean, what are the odds? I had to tell you, right? It's about Lowen. She writes like thrillers and things like that as well. It's not. We're going with it. Anyway, so her jokes about herself, like the self-deprecating jokes and things like that, oh my god, stop. I'm late for that. She was saying how like people promote their books so well. Like, this is the greatest thing since the last book I wrote. You should read it. And I'm the awkward writer who posts a picture of my book and says, it's an okay book. There are words in it. Read it if you want. And I was like, that is me. I related so much to that. I laughed way too much at that. It's not even that funny, but it was just to me because I relate to it. I found it funny. So yeah, Verity, pick it up. So I have 2 more books from Colleen Hoover because apparently I really like that kind of style of writing by her. I haven't read the other ones. I might, if you guys want to see me review it or anything like that, do let me know in the comments. But yeah, let me know, what have you read so far that is like your favorite book? I hope you enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, or afternoon or evening, and I will chat to you all in